You have to let them just be, but also be part of it.
As a child, I'd sleep with the lights on and my mom would scold me for it.
Yeah.
So I've realized that I also don't have to pass down my fears.
Most of us grew up in fear.
Right.
We were gangsters. At this age, your child should be doing this, should be doing that, should be doing. I'm still buying pampers. At this age.
Don't compare your children, though it's a bit hard. Just let them hit their milestones at their own time.
If Mom can do it, we can do it for
we
sure.
can do it for sure.
Yeah.
Just be fearless.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to show them that.
To every mom out there, you're doing a good job.
Can you maybe share about how you got into this space?
First, as a former child myself, every time I do it, am I like being a boy wrong? Like, am I soft?
Feelings were never things that were really touched on. What people have misunderstood, and I'm going to use this word, is gentle parenting.
Within the Kenyan context, how would we be able to redefine what respect looks like so that the kids can also have agency over themselves and their emotions?
We're talking about, I want to raise emotionally intelligent kids. Are you an emotionally intelligent parent?
On today's episode, we're talking about being brave, how we as parents can help our kids get from I can't to I'll try. We're going to try and find out how we can help our kids with their inner courage. Welcome to the Playdate.
You are safe in the Playdate.
Ever wonder what made you, you? We asked real parents, what was your secret childhood superpower? Here's something incredible. 90% of a child's brain development happens by age 5. Every time your child explores, takes a small risk, or teaches themselves something new, their brain is literally building the blueprint for lifelong courage. Stick around. Today on the Playdate, we're unlocking how you can help your child find their inner strength and move from I can't to I'll try. Let's dive in.
I loved acting in front of the mirror as a maths teacher. And I remember my high school teacher said I was really great at acting. So that was one useless childhood superpower. I don't use it now. Maybe I do.
It was not a useless superpower. It was not a useless superpower. It was writing backwards, and I loved it. I learned it from one of my classmates in school then.
I thought I could break people or hit people with my mind.
Introspection, reflection, almost on a daily basis, and journaling. I don't think my parents understood the superpower in that.
It's not a useless superpower, I would say, but in terms of superpowers, it doesn't rank in the top 10, most definitely. But beatboxing was something I taught myself.
I knew how to draw. Like, I was very talented, I would say, when I was at that age.
I can bend my ears and they stay in that bent formation.
As a parent, I want screen time that helps my child learn. That's why we love Akili and Me. Every episode is full of songs, numbers, letters, and important life lessons. And most importantly, my child has fun while learning. Join families across Africa learning with Akili.
Today we're going to be talking about bravery and agency. But before we get in it, maybe you can just introduce yourselves, how many kids you have, and then we can start talking about what you think about bravery.
My name is Helen Liliana. I run a tech firm and I'm a mother of one son. His name is Nate, he's 4 years old. I'm happy to be here.
My name is Marcelo Jindal. I am a software engineering graduate and currently a senior admin. I am a mom of 3. 5, 4, 2.
Wow.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Helen Mathew, an educationist, a mother of 2. Both in campus, 20 and 23 years.
All right, so I think with bravery and agency, there's going to be a lot of different opinions on how we raise our kids, especially if you're a newborn parent or if you have people in campus, kids in campus. I think our ideas of bravery look very different at this point. But before we start off, what is something that you and your co-parent just cannot agree on when it comes to bravery? Like, maybe it's you allow them to climb trees and your co-parent is, that's absolutely not going to be happening in this house. Is there something that you just don't agree on?
Personally, I'd say me and my partner are very different. I'm an extrovert, he's introverted, so he also tries to raise our son the way he was raised, so very guarded, and I feel like he'll maybe make him not be himself. So I try to intervene and just tell him, just let him be free, let him climb trees, let him fall, let him make mistakes.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm the opposite.
So maybe to just chip in on whatever Helen has said, I'm an extrovert, my partner is an introvert. And you find actually our kids have different behaviors.
Right.
So there's one who is all adventurous, who would want to climb the window.
Yeah.
There's another one who is very conserved. But on matters agreement, on bravery, I think we tend to blend in so well. So there are some things I agree upon, there are some things he agrees upon, and we just find a way to just be in tune.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the same boat with her. Mine, one is more outgoing than the other one. So you find one wants to go and do stuff. But with my husband, we sort of just agree. Sometimes we just let them be. If it's something like if somebody wants to like when they're learning how to ride a bike, you're always scared of
what if they fall? Yeah.
Well, will they fall or will their bike get out of control? So one time we just let them be and they just managed.
Right. And I think at different ages, we're dealing with different things. Like you're saying, at one point it's riding bikes, and then at some point it becomes going into school. How do you encourage your kids to be brave? What does that look like for you? And I know every child is different, so maybe you can even speak to how you raise the kids differently. But yeah, how would you encourage them to be brave?
Mine is still young, so needs guidance. But I'm thinking as he grows, I'll let him choose the things he wants to do. Because I feel as if at some point in my life I had, my mom would force me into even courses that I didn't want to do. And later on I rebelled and did other things. So I would want my child to do what he really wants to do.
Right.
And that will make him brave,
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Allowing them to even make their own mistakes.
Own mistakes and learning from them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I figured, there are three.
Right.
And they're actually very young. And again, just being able to notice from early on.
Right.
This kid loves doing this, or this one is adventurous, the other one is conservative, and the other one is all playful. So just figuring that out and being able to encourage them when they do the smallest of things.
Right.
So we were actually sharing the background, and I was telling them, my daughter actually insisted on washing plates. And I'm like, you're just 5. How are you going to wash plates? But then just being able to let them do it, even when they'll do it just
creating more of a mess. Really.
Yes, creating a mess. But it's so good because you tell them, that is so good, you actually did it. And you see, as time goes by, they perfect it. There's a time they actually washed plates. And I was ready to complain who washed these plates. Until they were like, Mom, today we washed plates. And they were so happy about it. And I'm like, that is good. And you see, it makes them even be braver in handling such matters.
Right.
Maybe wiping the table. Maybe riding that bike. You don't know how to ride. You're scared. Okay, ride, fall.
Right.
But you've done well. You've tried. And then it encourages them.
So constant encouragement.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It's true, constant encouragement. With me, I learned when we went to Mombasa, I realized, these children can't swim. And then it's they were scared of water. So I took them for swimming lessons. But what did I do first? I got into the water with them. And then I had this, I could say, is it fear or phobia? So you put the armbands and the things, and you keep on saying, don't go to the deep end. And then the swimming instructor told me, just stop doing that. Because how are they going to overcome? You can swim, so stop doing that. So one time, my daughter was so excited and she swam right across, and I was like, wow, that is fantastic. So now the other one also got encouragement. Then I realized sometimes you have to let them just be, but also be part of it. So they overcame the swimming fear, and anytime I'd go anywhere, I was okay because I knew they could swim.
Right. Yeah. I think also a big part of parenting is you're scared as a parent while you're still also trying to encourage your kids to do something. And you kind of have to not show your kids at all that you are scared of anything. Or is it that you do share with your kids, look, I'm scared and this is how I also overcome certain situations. So how do you handle, I think the age gap here is really nice between our kids because we can get to see the different years on how we should be handling things. But for me, that happens a lot. I think in the past episode, I even talked about things like bugs and, like we have pet lizards, we have pet, I don't know what, everything. And I've really had to just overcome that fear of, okay, I just have to just be strong because I want my kids, I don't want to pass my fears on to my kids. But also things like school, for example, that's a big one for me. Encouraging my kids to go into school, even maybe sometimes when they're not feeling happy or there's something that's happened with their friends, and I want to be that protector. I want to keep them at home, but I have to be brave for my kids and encourage them in situations where I'm not necessarily feeling confident. So how do you overcome those instances?
I think a lot of it, like, let me give an example of like a gecko. One of my daughters is terrified, and I used to be like that, but I realized I had to show her, and even sat her down and showed her on TV that geckos actually eat mosquitoes. So at night we won't have mosquitoes if you see the gecko. So that fear, because anytime she'd see, you just hear somebody screaming, that's and I just knew gecko. But then she sort of learned. So even now, the fear is still there, but it's more of like, Mom said they eat mosquitoes, so,
they're okay.
It's okay. And then even things like spiders. Now it's like, but you're bigger than it, and okay, Mom. I get it. But at first it was like, spider, and, somebody screaming, jumping on the bed. But as time goes, they learn to overcome. And then when they find you're calm and telling them it's just a spider and you're doing shoo-shoo and it will go away, now they overcame that.
Right. Yeah. They learn from your calm.
The calmness.
Right.
And school, if it's issues of school, you just talk to them. If it's an issue with a student, you ask them, okay, what happened? What do you think should have happened? Then we discuss scenarios. Did you shout at them, or did they push you? And did you like that? Why didn't you like that? Did you tell the teacher? Right. And then they learn that, let me tell the teacher, or even talk to my friend and tell them I didn't like that. Next time, at least try to be a bit fair. Or why did you cut me out of the game? Especially playing games. You'd find like, they didn't let me play this game and I was so unhappy today. And I'm like, sometimes, when you try to tell them, make other friends, they're like, but I want to play with this group. So sometimes you're like, no, even try these other people. You're all in the same class. So one of my daughters, in fact, both of them, they're very social. And they tend to have a mixture of friends. Because of that, I keep on saying, do you have to stick to that group of people? Move.
No, for me, I feel as if my son is so fearless. I see him holding insects, holding animals. So I feel as if I have more fear compared to him. And there's one thing I really don't like. So I grew up with a fear of the dark. So as a child, I'd sleep with the lights on and my mom would scold me for it. But now when I moved out, I was like, it's my house. I can sleep with something on. So I sleep with the TV on or with the bathroom lights on. Right. So now when I had my baby, I'd also sleep with him in some lights. So he went to the coast to my parents and he was staying with my nieces, and they told him, I had to sleep in the darkness. He really cried because he knows mommy allows him to sleep with some little light. But when he came back, he sleeps in the dark. So I've realized that I also don't have to pass down my fears. He doesn't have to.
Right. Sorry.
Okay. So I think for me, I came to terms with the fact that we are very different from our children. Yes. You realize there are things your kids fear, and you're like, what do you fear? What's that? Because growing up, some of us that grew up in the rural area, we would walk in the dark. We would cook with firewood. You're coming from that kitchen in the dark, whether there's a snake on the floor, whatever, on the ground, on the grass, you just move on. But you realize now our children
are different.
They are so different. They get terrified of insects. They'll see a bee, it's something else. They'll see, even just recently, actually, my son actually really, not fearing per se, but the last firstborn actually really loves cats. I personally hate cats. Because of growing up in the rural and the stories that were around cats. And I'm like, I just can't stand cats. But my son will be running around the compound following the cat. And I'm just like, that cat can actually even scratch you. But you see, they're so different from us. So it's actually embracing that we are quite different with our children, and also encouraging them in whatever they like or fear. Because, for instance, the fear of the dark, my children fear the dark. But me growing up, I would be assured at the back of my mind, I was like, okay, even if it's dark in the house, at least my dad is there. Nothing can happen to me when my dad is there. So just telling them, don't fear, mommy is here, dad is here, and it's okay. There are no ghosts. When ghosts come, we'll actually fight those ghosts. We're going to fight those. And they feel actually so nice that at the end of the day, the fear doesn't go away. So it's a matter of just being with them in that fear and not brushing it off.
I love that. And I think even just there was something that you mentioned that made me feel like we use fear as a tactic to raise kids sometimes. I think especially within the Kenyan context, there's a lot of fear-based learning. So how would you, is it something that, you've tried to do differently, or how would you deal with it because it's not only us raising our kids, we have nannies, our grandparents, our aunties, teachers, etc. So how do you deal with, those voices in your kids' heads? I've been told something like when I go to the pharmacy, the other day I was purchasing something and I don't know what my child was doing. She was just moving around a lot. She wasn't really doing anything. And it's like, do you want to be injected? And I'm like, why would you even say that? Why, so we still have those things that happen right now. So how do you navigate that with your kids and with other people who talk like that to your kids?
I think for me, even begins with my nanny. I told her, don't shout at him, don't... she has to be really, really careful, with what words she chooses, because at some point I feel like my son would start crying when she calls her. So I was like, hey, what's going on? So I told her, personally, I feel like I grew up with fear, so I also don't want my child to have that. So I feel like having people around you, just making them understand that you want to raise your children in this way, so they should also try and not instill fear, even in your absence.
Right, yeah.
Because it goes even into adulthood.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so just recently, on matters of fears, my son actually told me, Mommy, what is this? So you find my second-born had a small finger, yes? So I'm like, that's a finger. And then he's like, it's for pussy. Like pussy, a cat. And I'm like, who told you that? Ati, someone told me it's for a cat. And I'm like, no, it's not for a cat. It actually makes you very unique. What is unique? So I'm like, it just makes you different, because you realize, just as you mentioned, in the world of today, people are putting fear as a way of making children behave in a certain way.
Right.
So if a child realizes that my fingers are not the same way as probably someone else, so why are they like that? Then another person will come in with a different story. You realize these kids grow up believing that it's actually true. Because for the child to tell me something that happened in January, then it really hit a nerve, yes? So just also assuring them that they are different in that. And then also, I think growing up, just as she has mentioned, most of us grew up in fear.
Right.
We were gangsters. You knew if I step on this ground, something will happen. If I do this, something will happen. But in the world today, I think most people have not grown from that. So then they carry it to their children.
Right.
But you realized for some of us who might probably want something different, then you bring up your children differently.
Right.
Then probably also assuring them that you're different.
Yeah.
Accept that you're different.
Yeah.
People might bully you in school. Accept that you're different. and also stand up for yourself.
Right.
Yes.
So fear. After what you've said, so many things have run through my mind.
Yeah.
Fear, I think, for me personally, even growing up, was even if you're somewhere or visitors come, you always knew the visitors are to be served first. So if you go there, your mother's eye, that deadly look, you can melt. You just melt when you're there, and you knew later on you're going to have it. But then I noticed with my children, it was totally different because I didn't bring them up like that.
Right.
So even if they're doing something, it's literally I'd have to now call somebody and just say, what are you doing? Just come here. Why are you doing that? Right. And maybe they're at the table and they're about to pull the tablecloth or something. So you have to rush over, because giving them the eye, that doesn't work. But that's how I grew up. And then also that thing of you're taking care of your siblings. If anything goes wrong, you know who's in trouble, because the mess happened under my watch. So my children, I didn't have that thing of if I've left you in charge and it goes wrong, I'll not come and beat you, but I would have a discussion. What happened? Explain. I never had that time to explain. It was mwiko, bring the mwiko.
Eating.
I'm laughing.
Sorted.
So sad. Sometimes I also feel like my kids are a little too brave, because sometimes the way they respond to some things, and I'm like, I wish that I had that eye, that I could give somebody an eye and they just stop, I mean, at the end of the day, I know I'm really grateful for the way they're being raised, and I'm proud that they have their boundaries and are able to speak up for themselves. But there are times where I'm like, if you knew how things happened when what I went through, like, you're so lucky. I think we've also touched on agency, and I'd like to know what agency means to you and how you navigate that with your kids. I think specifically within the Kenyan context, having agency sometimes is seen as difficult, rude, perceived differently here, whereas really that just means that you're letting your children be able to live out the who they truly are. And that doesn't mean that they're being rude, that doesn't mean that they're being naughty, but I think things here are perceived in different ways, and I'd love to know what that means for you and raising your kids at the different stages that they are in.
On matters agency, I don't know, but in the world of today, there are just people who are in so much rush. You find you'll go to a clinic, you'll be asked how old is your child, or probably why is your child like that? Your child is not feeding, or how many months is your child? And they're like, by this, at this age, your child should be doing this, should be doing that, should be doing, and it's a lot of things. So I personally closed my ears to that, because you realize when you let them get in, then you start treating your children differently. Differently, and you realize kids are so different. I mean, for some of us who are moms of 2 and 3, you realize your firstborn is quite different from your secondborn, and you cannot actually try to make your child have the same milestone at a certain age that your firstborn had.
Right.
So it's just a matter of accepting that children are different, and just being able to hold your children at that moment, in that season, whatever they're doing. I mean, let me give an example. My firstborn actually knew how to use potty at 1 year, 3 months.
Wow.
That was early.
That's early.
And you see, it's so different. You see, you're saying it's early, but for me, it was so different with the secondborn. I mean, the secondborn went all the way to 1 year, 7 months. And I'm like, I'm still buying Pampers. At this age, what are you doing? And you find at times it might get into your head, and you start beating your child for no good reason, because you're putting them in the same time range as the other one. Then now came the third born, and last ones just behave different. And then they can even go up to 3 years. They're in no rush, absolutely no rush. So maybe blocking your ears to the worldly views of how things should happen, and just move as an individual.
Right.
How do I want my kids to move?
Right.
And what do I need to put pressure on my kids? No. So then move at your own pace.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh, for me, that's a hard topic. My son was born preterm. So, it was a struggle. He was born at 31 weeks. And I was told he would have delayed milestones, which happened. Even for him to walk, for him to crawl, we had to take him for physiotherapy. So I would just close my ears and not listen and not read about milestones. We should be doing this by this age, because it was just getting into my head. I was like, it's just too much. Yeah. But funny enough, now he's this highly intellectual children. Yeah. So delayed milestones, but now his brain is. Yeah. So I would say, don't compare your children, though it's a bit hard. Yeah. It's a bit hard, but just let them hit their milestones at their own time, at God's own time. Yeah. Because it's God who made them. But just give them the support that they need, but don't compare them to others.
Yeah, it's true. Just don't compare, because with mine, the difference is like 3.5 years, and definitely they were different. But they walked when they were supposed to, talked when they were supposed to. So for me, it wasn't so much of have they reached that, the milestone. It was just let them be and do things in their own time.
Right. Yeah. Right. And if you had one parting shot, just a sentence, encouraging a parent on how they should, or not should, any tips you have on bravery, how to encourage their kids to be brave, how to encourage themselves as a mom or a dad to be brave for their kids, and agency. If you had a one parting shot, what would that be?
Do it with them. I did, what do you call this? Zip lining. I went they were looking at it. I said, it's easy. And I went and did it. So just sometimes just take the faith of leap and just do it. Then when they see mom can do it, if mom could zip line, they now are the next ones to do it.
If mom can do it, we can do it for sure.
For sure. Just be fearless. Sometimes you need to show them that.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
I think for me, I'd say let them be themselves. Let them create their own identity. Let them be themselves. Let them be free. And just charge their own paths.
Right.
Yeah, so for me, to every mom out there, you're doing a good job. Doesn't have to look like someone else's. You're doing a good job.
Amen. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate your time and your tips and your everything. I really enjoyed this discussion, and hopefully we can have another one soon. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we go, let's talk about something bigger. Right now, millions of children across Africa don't have access to the kind of learning we've talked about today. At Ubongo, we're on a mission to reach 100 million children for fun, localized learning that actually works. But we can't do it alone. If you believe every child deserves a chance to grow, learn, and thrive, support us by donating at ubongo.org. Let's build the future together.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Ubongo Kids. Want to learn science? Want to solve cool math problems? Want amazing adventures? Join us every week for fun learning with your favorite Ubongo friends. Let's learn together.
You are safe in the Playdate.
Aldo, and then thank you so much for joining me today as we talk about all things parenting. Before we begin, it would be great if you could please just introduce yourselves, what it is that you do, and then we can dive right in.
Okay, so who goes first?
You go first.
I go first. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Lynn Washoe, and I'm a counseling psychologist who specializes with children and adolescents. So I have my own practice. It's called Kids Counselling Clinic. And also into this conversation, I'm also a mom of 2 kids. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Aldo Olouch Olunya. I'm a counseling psychologist. I've been practicing since 2018. I do see a lot of children and adolescents, also young adults, and being a man in this space is a privilege because I try to make sure that boys and men don't fall behind so that they can realize that their mental health is important and it's something they should not neglect.
Aldo, I think, we're laughing before that you are a kid psychologist without having kids. So can you maybe share about, how you got into this space?
I think it's interesting. Well, first, as a former child myself.
You're still a child.
As a former, we all pass through. But also because I used to work in schools, you see a lot of kids. And if you see a lot of kids at the school-going age, they're going through that transition, and you can also see the things that they need. So what ends up happening is you see a lot of kids, you're collaborating with their parents, and you realize that there's a gap, and you're trying to make sure that they pass through, I guess, in a healthy way. Adolescence makes me laugh because it's a really, really big transition in a short amount of time. And it's confusing. You used to be a kid, now you're an adult, sort of. And so the exposure I got from working in schools is what led me to see, quite a lot of kids.
Right. I'll start off with asking this. I think a lot of people teach us that bravery is pushing through, but really my perspective on this is that there's a different foundation that we can set for our kids in order to teach them to take risks and become a brave little person. Bravery is not necessarily just pushing through a scenario or something difficult that they're going through. How would you say that you help kids and adolescents how would you say that you help kids in this area of their lives, becoming brave people, taking risks, being able to take risks?
I think how we've understood bravery is what you said, like a brave person or a strong person is somebody who maybe has been hurt by somebody, then you're like, let me just toughen it up. But what I've come to realize that I think when you look at kids from a holistic perspective, I think bravery is being a child who's in tune emotionally, psychologically, physically, and now the different aspects of life. So how I see bravery is, I see bravery as a child who maybe once couldn't talk about their feelings, has gotten the necessary tools, and now they're actually able to express themselves and say, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated, and especially with the emotions that we tend to typically call bad emotions, like anger, sadness, frustration, we're okay with the happy emotions,
but
the sad emotions, we don't really necessarily allow kids to do that. So I think in what I do, and I believe what also Aldo does, is that we create a space where kids are able to actually bravely talk about their feelings.
I think it's a lovely answer. I think why I like the word bravery so much is bravery is not the absence of an issue. There has to be something to overcome in order for you to be brave. So the negative emotions or the difficulty, you acknowledge that first and say, it is okay to feel or experience this thing. This is how you overcome in a healthy fashion. So it's not trying to say that you must ignore this and just soldier on. It's, this is here, this has hurt you, this is difficult. We acknowledge it, and then as you move past that, that is now where the bravery comes from.
Actually, I often have these conversations with my kids a lot because sometimes they're crying about something they might not be able to do, and they think, I'm not brave. You hear them even saying, I'm not brave enough to do this. And I'm like, the fact that you're even considering it, and even just because you're crying doesn't mean that you're not brave. You're doing something that's difficult, you're considering it, you're here. That's like 50% of the journey. And it's a difficult conversation sometimes with kids because of how we were taught in the past and how some of these conversations continue to, with family members and such, that you shouldn't be crying, you need to man up, or especially for boys. I think that's why I'm so happy that you talked about, making sure that men and boys don't fall behind. I think also in this African context, like you were talking about negative emotions, a lot of these emotions are seen as our kids being naughty. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit about, firstly, there's age-appropriate behavior. I've learned that with my own kids, and I've had to learn, brain development, what's age-appropriate at different ages, and maybe you can share a little bit more about that,
I think one of the things that we need to realize is that emotions, how I would put it is that we are born with emotions. So there's a part where, as you mentioned, like when a child is growing, then when they get to a certain age and what we call terrible twos, when they get to the age of 2, that's when you realize, okay, so my child can actually say no. That's a big one for parents, for small children. And you realize that because of the kind of relationship and the attachment that a child has, that is how they learn to actually express themselves.
Right.
So now when we tell kids that this is a bad emotion, we're telling them whatever that is inside of you is not good. Whatever that you were made with is not good.
Right.
So that's now how you are able to give a child the necessary language to be able to say what it is that is frustrating them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the thing you were saying earlier about the boys don't cry element of things, we're all born with emotions, as you said. So guys have them also. So what you're doing is making sure that the boy has an inability to deal with those emotions,
Right.
which he's going to have as he grows up. But if you're told you don't do this, but you actually do it. So then you're left sitting there like, if I've been told expressly, this is something which you're not supposed to do, every time I do it, what, am I betraying my very nature? Am I like being a boy wrong? Like, am I soft? And so you have that internal conflict where you can almost really dislike yourself for feeling something which you're supposed to feel.
Right.
And which is why so many men grow up, and in our context, anger is okay for a guy to feel.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But then
that's actually, we told you're manly now
because
you're angry.
So now it becomes everything that is uncomfortable and that you can't now just go straight to anger.
Right.
And that's how you deal with everything. So you're taking away all the other emotional nuance and saying this is the only thing that's available to you.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I think raising boys is quite difficult. I'm so glad I'm raising boys at this point. Yeah, I just think there's so many nuances that are, I mean, of course, you learn as you go with both genders. But even as we are talking about the Kenyan context, maybe you can also speak on how in our culture, it's also, if you lead with empathy, or you're an empathetic parent, it's seen that people think that your kids will have your kids will have lack of discipline or lack of respect for you because you're not leading with like a dictator or something. You're not being kali, and maybe you can speak on that because I know I've really struggled with that. My mom was very much like, these are my rules, this is my household, but I'm really trying to be the parent. Like I want to listen to what it is that you're going through. I want to understand what it is, why you're behaving the way you're behaving. And I do feel that, through this approach, my kids are learning to be very self-sufficient, very confident, very amazing. I mean, we all have our tantrums and ups and downs and bad days, but I'm seeing the way that I'm raising them, I'm really proud of it. And I would really love to touch more on, you can be an empathetic parent and still raise disciplined, respectful kids.
Yeah. I like that perspective because, as a Kenyan society, and I think even African perspective, that feelings were never things that were really touched on at all. And I don't know, maybe in your homes were feelings touched on exactly. So it's a very foreign concept. And what people have misunderstood, and I'm going to use this word, is gentle parenting.
Right.
People have really misunderstood what gentle parenting is. So gentle parenting is what you're saying, allowing your child to express their emotions because that is what they're expected to do. They're expected to do. Especially, I think what causes a lot of frustration with parents is between the age of toddlerhood and then now going into teenagehood. That is where a lot of parents now have a lot of challenges with their emotions.
Right.
But when you realize that from a brain development perspective, that this is what is expected for this child, this is what the child is supposed to do in that particular age. So you can raise an empathetic child, but a child who's still strict and disciplined. Let me give you an example. When a child is maybe having a tantrum, you realize when you actually communicate to them that what you're feeling, maybe you've taken away a toy, and you tell them that you're feeling frustrated because I took away this toy. What you realize, even the downtime for the tantrum reduces because you've given them an understanding and vocabulary to say what is it that they are feeling.
Right.
So you can still raise an empathetic child, and also depending on the kind of home that you are, I'm sure every house has its own rules and values and all that.
Right.
You can tell your child, in this house, it's okay for you to feel angry, but this is what we do when we are angry. And now this is where you learn now, you teach your child different coping skills. If it's breathing, if it's writing it down, if it's coloring, if it's drawing, so different perspectives. So you can still raise an empathetic child and also a disciplined child because you're giving them the vocabulary to say what is it that is frustrating them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, in listening to you talk, the gentle parenting thing especially, where some of us in this African context, it's either a disciplinarian or you're completely laissez-faire in the approach of, I don't discipline at all. But like with most things, it's nuance. So is there time for tenderness? Is there time for understanding? And is there time for discipline?
Right.
It can't be all discipline all day.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's very interesting when we have these conversations because, kids are doing it for the first time. It sounds really obvious to say out loud, but when it comes to empathizing with where somebody is going, sometimes adults or parents can be like, what's this small problem?
Right.
Yeah, for you. Because you are viewing it from, I've been through and I'm looking back.
Right.
If somebody has never traversed something before, how are they expected to understand how to pass it and what's on the other side?
Right.
They don't.
Right.
And so sometimes people don't go down into the level and think, if this is the first time, how can I guide? As opposed to, why are you wasting time and almost, why don't you know how to do this already?
Right.
It's so obvious.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I definitely have those challenges sometimes where I'm like, wow, surely.
I've told you this.
It's easy. Come
It's
on.
so easy to do. There's something that you've said, Aldo, that has given me an aha moment, is that actually discipline is, how do we understand what discipline is?
Right.
I think how we understand discipline is doing the right thing.
Right.
But if I teach my child to tell me how they're feeling, isn't that them doing the right thing?
Right.
Yeah, they are being disciplined when they say that. And now, with discipline, there comes emotional maturity. And that, I think that is what all parents want for their children. So I think even teaching your child emotional vocabulary is actually discipline.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are many forms of discipline that I think, within the Kenyan context, I think when we say discipline, it's like, chapa your kids, right?
Yeah.
And for me, there are so many types of discipline, and so what is it? The word just essentially means they're disciples, right?
Yeah.
So we're just trying to guide them in the right way, and that comes in many shapes and forms. So I do agree with you that there's either you're on this far end, and then that's where you said people mistake gentle parenting for. What is it? Passive parenting, where you're literally just letting the kids get away with absolutely anything. And that's not the case. So even sometimes when I talk about gentle parenting on my platform, people are, oh, there she go, in the clouds. But really, my kids are disciplined. There are certain things at home that they know will happen if they don't behave in a certain way. For example, screen time.
Strict rules, but you still give them that space for them to express their feelings.
Exactly.
That is what we call gentle parenting.
Right, yeah. And I think that also ties in with respect. Again, in the Kenyan context, I keep saying this because I see different things working in different areas, right? So within the Kenyan context, how would we be able to redefine what respect looks like so that the kids can also have agency over themselves and their emotions?
That's a really good question. I think we need to, let me see it from a parent perspective and also from a professional perspective. We are in the age whereby people are actually starting to understand the value of speaking about their feelings, speaking about their emotions, and learning what to do about it. And I think with respect comes that I am able to vocalize what is disturbing me, especially the word no. I know a lot of parents, when they're told no, it's a big thing because when
you don't say no to your parent.
How do you say no to your parent? It wasn't something that was allowed. But right now, if you realize the generation of kids that are coming up, is that is a word that means, what does it mean? Like when they say no. When a child say no, they can mean so many things. So I think it's understanding when they say no, what does it mean? But now you have to, and this is where coping skills and teaching them how to express their emotions appropriately comes in hand. And I think that's now what respect is. That I can tell you, I can't just come and walk up to, an old person and just say, oh, you are, let me say, you smell bad or something like that. There's a way that you can now teach them that for this kind of person, you have to show respect and honor. Right. But you can say it in a way that doesn't degrade the kind of person.
Right.
Like now, for example, if you want to that example of telling somebody you smell, what if you teach your child instead of you saying it, tell it to me, who's an adult, then I can be able to find a different way to explain that to that person, whoever.
But it's interesting you're talking about like honesty, because for me, I've taught the kids you must always be honest. So that now comes with, I'll be honest about what I think. So if she's like, you smell, then it's like, no, you can't say that. But you taught me to be honest. You told me that I must be very honest about everything that I, Then comes in the nuances, okay, you have to be honest, but you also need to think about, does that help anybody in this situation? Do you need to say what you're saying? Right? Like, then just because you think something doesn't mean that it has to come out of your mouth. So there's so many nuances as you're teaching. You teach one thing and then they use that, and then you're like, okay, but also you need to learn about communication, and you need to learn what's appropriate here and there. Like, also that example you gave, some things are appropriate at home and not appropriate elsewhere. So even in our house, we have things where they're allowed to, I don't know, listen to some certain songs, let's say, but they know very well they're not bringing that song outside of the house. And that's just our thing. But that's just because we want to respect other people. Another example would be, I teach my kids the names for their body parts. It's not vulgar, it's not rude, but you need to be appropriate when you're having a conversation with other people. And in the Kenyan society, it's seen as rude. So be careful about where you're talking about what it is you're talking about. There's always like, you say one thing, but there's like 1,000 things that must follow the things that you're teaching your kids, which I find very interesting.
No, it's true. And I think the funny thing about respect and disrespect is respect your elders for some means never disagree with your elders. Or your elders are always right. Disagreement is not disrespect. It's not the same thing. But for some, they take it as if I'm told no, you're disrespecting me.
Exactly.
And you do owe your elders respect, but also what kind of behavior are you showing? Are you an elder who is worthy of respect as well?
Amen.
Some people won't want to hear that. But even when we're talking about the lessons which we're teaching, have you learned those lessons so that you yourself can teach them? We're talking about, I want to raise emotionally intelligent kids. Are you an emotionally intelligent parent?
Amen. Okay.
If you didn't do the work, it makes it very, very difficult to now dispense the information to somebody else.
Right.
And so you'll find people like, can your child tell you no? And it's like, or are you saying that by virtue of the fact that you're old and you're their parent, that you can never be wrong?
Right.
Because that's not true. There are times that you will be wrong. And being wrong doesn't make you less worthy of respect. And it doesn't make you a worse parent. But can you admit to your child that you are wrong about something so that you can move forward? And for some, they can't. It's like, by virtue of the fact that this is my position, this is right, but that's not the way that should work.
Right. I was going to say that I do understand how some parents find it difficult, because even me myself, I find it so difficult sometimes, and I think that's just because of how we're raised, right? So even every time where I have to be like, okay, I don't like that word, but Shachana, you have to go and apologize to your child. It's still something that's a bit like, I really don't want to do this. But at the end of the day, I do know it's very important. And it's one of my biggest tools in parenting, being able to apologize to my kids when I'm wrong, or just being able to have conversations with them where I'm like, I'm really sorry, mommy made a mistake. But it's still tough. It's still. I
think when like what he said about, if you don't want to pass on like how you are raised, then I have to do the work.
Right.
There's this a lot of the statement that parents said, I was raised like this, I do not want to raise my child like that. But now, have you done the work?
Right.
Have you analyzed where this thing comes from? Have you gone and even found out how you were raised? Have you gone to therapy? Have you done the work? Because you cannot say you're not going to do something. You have to learn new skills so that you can be able to apply those skills.
And sometimes you don't even know that you have these issues until you're in the thick of parenting, and then you're like, okay, I can see how this is playing out in this. So sometimes you wouldn't even know, which is why I was saying in one of the earlier episodes that I really think we need parent coaching before we become parents. I feel like there needs to be a certificate that you have to get before you're allowed to be pregnant.
I agree. I actually agree.
That would be quite the initiative.
But truly,
you actually have to
just
make
wait.
a decision to have children. Because it is not an easy decision. It is not an easy decision.
It's not. And then there should be like hoops you have to go, exams you have to follow, practical and and theoretical exams you must follow before you're able to get that certificate. I just truly feel
So it's like you failed paper 2. I'm so sorry.
sorry.
You can't start your family. Next intake is in September.
Exactly.
So up until that point, just chill on it.
Exactly.
Like,
here are some pills you can take.
be responsible, and we'll come back, and then we'll get you on your way.
Truly. I mean, I say it as a joke, but I truly believe that I wish there was more that we could have learned beforehand, because there's so many things within the sometimes it's okay. I don't think it's ever too late to redo some of the things that you've done, but it makes you feel bad as a parent thinking about some of the things that happened, and you're like, oh, I wish I knew what I knew now, and that just requires just some parenting advice beforehand. I mean, all our parents talk about is, when is the next kid coming? When are you getting married? When are you having kids? No one told me about what this looks like on the ground. It's very different. It's not roses and sunshine and butterflies as soon as you have a baby.
I agree with you 1001%.
Right, yeah.
I agree, because there are things that you... Because of how parenting is such a vulnerable thing, and even like the process of getting a child, it's very vulnerable.
Right.
So now, when you're in that place of trying to raise somebody, you realize that is when your vulnerability is also, you come to a place of such vulnerability that you do things and you're like, oh my God, this is what my parent used to do to me. Yeah. So I completely agree with what you're saying.
Right. So I think in your professions, I'm sure you've dealt with high stress situations where, there's some really serious issues that kids are going through. Obviously, we can't talk about the cases, but is there anything you can share where, it's something that has shown you, like something that has really pivoted your career in some way? Something happened that really changed the way you see how you actually operate in your profession?
That's a very good question. I think for me, it's dealing with kids who are having, this very vulnerable situations. Like, for example, I like to call them transitions. Okay. Transitioning from a 2-parent household to a 1-parent household. I think for me, I have seen the effect it has on a child. And if there's no space for that child to feel the way they feel, because, kids who are going through that will tend to blame themselves a lot over what is happening. So for me, that's like when I started encountering such cases is when I realized that you really have to. It taught me, first of all, to go and do a lot of research about, because Aldo will agree. Sometimes what you learn in school is not enough. It's not enough.
It's a good starting point.
Exactly. It's a good starting point. So led me to do a lot of research, and it led me to realize that how teaching, especially there's what we call social emotional learning, SEL, in therapy, because that is let me say 90% of what therapy spaces are. Right. So now when I encountered such cases, I realized that you have to actually really, really dive in and understand what is this child is feeling. Right. And sometimes kids will not be able to openly say, okay, there are some who will come and tell you, I'm really sad about it. But now finding things that are important to them, if it's like coloring, if it's like games, like when you're in their environment, that's how you find out now they're able to actually openly express themselves. So, yeah.
Right.
I think for me, something which I see a lot of, when you're working with kids, is what they attempt to carry responsibility-wise. So they pick up things that don't belong to them. Right. If we're talking about parents separating, which happens, you'll find as you're speaking to them, the narrative that they hold is that maybe if I did A, B, C, they'd still be together. Maybe if I passed that exam, if I was better at my recital, and so they think that it's because of them, and it isn't. And that kind of weight is really difficult because you carry the worry and the anxiety, but you don't have the tools to provide the solution. So often we'll sit, and some parents won't realize, or they'll think, we're hiding things very well. And I'm like, you're not. And I'm not saying it as an insult, but if you guys are in the same space and things are not good, the kid sees.
They pick up. You don't even need to speak about it, but you will pick up energy. Sorry.
No, they definitely do.
Yeah.
Do you want to bet?
Sorry, everybody.
It's okay.
I fiddle when I. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do. And so now, in sitting with the kids in and of themselves and being like, why are you speaking as if that's on you? And they don't realize. And they'll be like, oh, I thought it. It's like, no, that's not on you. So you focus on what they can actually do for themselves.
Right.
And when you're speaking to the parents, it's about getting to the place of seeing this is what they're carrying. And you might not have told them expressly, this is on you, but please understand that in this dynamic, they feel responsible in some way, and you need to be able to alleviate like that pressure from them, because now they're a child, they should have child problems,
Right.
but now they're thinking about how can I live, or how can I perform, or how can I present to make sure that the relationship stays together.
Wow. But yeah, amazing. I think I'll definitely, all the advice that you shared today, I will definitely take this forward. I'm always ready to learn, happy to learn, and I hope people who are watching take this as well. But if you had one parting shot for parents, what would you share with them?
You can't be a perfect parent, and you will make mistakes, but what matters is how you repair those mistakes. Yeah.
Life can only be understood backwards, but it has to be lived forwards.
Ooh.
I think it's by I think his name is Søren Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
If I've butchered the pronunciation, I'm so sorry.
Some Irish or Scotsman somewhere would be like,
he's Danish, but like with the O's with the limestone.
Yeah.
But I read it and I was like, so essentially, you're further along than your kids are, so you can look back and it's so clear to you. They're doing it for the first time.
Right.
So understand that these things that they're going through, it's the first time around for them, and your guidance can assist. Don't take it as like they have your knowledge or experience, and they're just trying to deviate for the sake of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. This conversation was really enlightening for me. I've really learned a lot, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you both so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us today on the Playdate. Remember, prioritizing your own well-being isn't a luxury. It is the very foundation of your child's future. If you want to help us reach millions more children with life-changing edutainment, please scan the QR code on your screen. Your donations directly fund the production and distribution of inclusive learning materials for underserved communities. Don't forget to share this episode with another caregiver who needs a breath of fresh air today. Until next time, keep playing, keep laughing, and we'll see you soon.